And I welcome you today to CSC Talk Radio. It's my honor, my privilege, and my pleasure to be here with you today. It is January the 21st, 2019, not 1920. It's 2019. And isn't it ironic what's going on in this nation today? Today is Martin Luther King's birthday. We celebrate it today for civil rights, for equality and freedom. And he stood for all those. Yet the Democrat Party today is standing for the opposite. They want control and dependence. And isn't it ironic that Martin Luther King spoke of life and liberty, and the Democrat Party speaks of death and destruction, abortion unlimited? On any national holiday here in this little town, my office is about the only office with an open door. For the blocks that surround here, the courthouse, banks are closed. There's two across the street from me. Post office is closed. It's just up the block from me, and there's some lawyers' offices and some other offices up the block here, right next door to me. And across the street is the courthouse. And all are shut down today to celebrate Martin Luther King's birthday. That's something that has also, just like anything else, has been hijacked for sales and everything else. You know, you can go and have a Martin Luther King Day sale, and I guess because they think you're out of, you got a day off, so you can go buy stuff. The Women's March happened this weekend, and it's not about equality. Stop and think about it. They no longer care about the women. And they can't even get along. We talked about that last week. They were fighting amongst themselves. It's all a mirage for attention. And the March for Life happened this weekend, and even though it was downplayed by the media, why do you think they do that? Why can they simply not tell the truth to the American people? Because they want you to believe that the majority of Americans are abortion supporters instead of supporters of life. The huge news this weekend was the president's continued battle for America. The Democrat Socialist Party, led by Negotiate Nancy, refused the president's proposal before he ever gave it. Mitch McConnell is to put it to a vote this week in the Senate. Now, what are your thoughts about that? I say let them vote. I think they should have been doing that. Hold these elected officials responsible. Let them say yes or no, instead of hiding behind Nancy, negotiate Pelosi skirts. The shutdown, whose fault is it? I say it's the do-nothing Congress and the obstructionists in the Democrat Party. McCarthy told Pelosi, this is the minority leader in the House, he told Pelosi to come to the table and negotiate or step down and get out of the way. Of course, no negotiate Nancy is too full of herself to put Americans first, even federal workers. Even though she talks about it, she's too busy jet-setting around. They play dirty. There's more stuff going on, and it just absolutely sickens me. They play dirty, and they intend to ruin the lives of people, their careers, and draw blood. There will be no peace until the Dems get their way. Didn't we hear that not too long ago? That's kind of paraphrased. And I say, or the storms blow them out of the way. Are you going to be the storm? It's Monday. Do you know where your congressman? Do you know where your congresswoman is? Do you know where they are? What they're doing? Well, I want to talk about the Women's March and the pro-life march that happened this weekend. I have an article here about the Women's March. Now, we talked last week. I'm not going to talk about this too long today. We talked last week about how they weren't getting along, and they've got some that are all about Farrakhan, and Farrakhan is a very bigoted, prejudiced, outspoken hater of different people. And calling them names and everything else. You know, if you do that on Twitter, you get blocked and get booted off. If he does that on Twitter, he stays right there. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? But they haven't been getting along. And to tell you how bad it is, how bad it got, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, she opted out of the Women's March. I cannot stand alongside it. And that was, again, because some of the leaders of the march who were, kind of the leaders of it, the higher up, were supporters of Farrakhan. And so they're all of a sudden they're trying to remove themselves from that. At least certain people. I don't know why Debbie Wasserman Schultz is. We already know some of her feelings and some of the things she has said and vulgarity in her emails to Bernie Sanders. So they're not getting along very well, but they did have a turnout. And this particular writer is saying that the Women's March saddens them and it outrages them. That she was a long-time feminist and now the women's rights and a women's rights activist, and she thinks that they've taken a turn in the wrong direction. And I just happened to think, as just minutes before we were going on the air, and I wrote it down here, they call it the Women's March. It's all about one group of people, the women in this nation. And the pro-life march, the March for Life, it encompasses all people, all sexes, all races, everyone, because they're marching for life. Life, not death. The Women's March marches for death. They want abortion without any limits. Liberty, not controlled. The Socialist Democrats and these rhino Republicans that believe in big government, they want to control you. Pursuit of happiness, property, and prosperity. And that is not socialism, which is what they are now claiming that they want for this nation. Do you really understand what's going on? So the mainstream media had a report on the Life March, and they said that there was only a few thousand people, but there was a time-lapse video that proved them wrong. Now, why would they lie about this? Why would they hide the truth? Remember when we had the cyclists, the motorcycle people this was before President Trump was even running. They went up to Washington. We had the truckers go to Washington. Everybody said, well, it was a big failure. No, it wasn't covered. They had millions of people show up, but it wasn't covered. And they lied about how many there were, just like they were trying to lie about this March for Life. So when you look at the time-lapsed video from that day, which was the 18th, it shows there were hundreds of thousands of people, not tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that showed up for the March for Life. Why would they lie about that? Why would it be so important to them that the American people don't know that? Well, it's because they want the American people to believe that the majority of this nation are okay with killing babies. I don't think that's true. I really don't think that's true. I have a quote here. This is from Martin Luther King Jr. It says, "The Negro cannot win if he is willing to sacrifice the futures of his children for immediate personal comfort and safety. Injustice everywhere is a threat to justice anywhere." I think about that. No nation, how long have I been saying this? No nation can survive by killing its young and doing away with them. Just throwing them away. We're going to talk about a little bit about that, 877-895-5410 is the number to call. When we come back, Vice President Pence made a surprise appearance this weekend. And we will be right back.